Okay, we'll open it up.
So, I guess with Cade Mays coming back, where do you see inserting him this last week?
We'll obviously want to make sure that he plays in the game, that he progresses today and tomorrow as he should to be able to kind of get cleared to play in the game. We think that can happen, but that's not a given yet. So, and then we'll work through that and make that decision.
Is Troy Hill here now?
He is here.
What, from the standpoint of knowing the scheme, do you feel like he needs to play in the preseason just to get?
No, no, I don't. I mean, he's experienced, period, and then experienced in our scheme.
He's practicing today, right?
Pardon?
Troy Hill's practicing today.
Yes, I'm anticipating him. As far as I know, that everything cleared. I'm assuming so. Yes.
Frank, what happened with LaVisca?
It was just an incidental contact. He was blocking on a run play, and just got hit the wrong way at the wrong time. Didn't sense it was a bad hit. It was like one of those ones that you look and you say, but it happens every now and then.
Do you anticipate giving playing time to all four quarterbacks in this next one?
That would be nice. I don't know if that'll happen though. It would be nice if it would play out like that, but we'll have to wait and see.
How did Andy look coming back to practice?
He looked good. I made sure, hey, you 100% back. He's 100% back, and he looked good.
What needs to happen for all four quarterbacks to play? Say.
Yeah, lots of touchdown drives. Lots of touchdown drives. I suppose. Where you feel good. In the last preseason game, listen, this isn't a must, but you usually want your guys going out after a positive drive. It doesn't always work out like that, and it's not the end of the world if it doesn't, but, in theory, that's what you shoot for.
Does Troy's familiarity with the system ease the transition? I mean, are you thinking he's a guy who could, make the team and be up in week one?
Yeah, I would think so. Obviously, as you guys know, our defensive coaches, know him quite well, and so yes. I mean, and if you make him, kind of get him at this point, it kind of gives you an indication where we're thinking, what we're thinking. But then there's always the other side, right? There's always that other little side. Well, you still got to go out there and do it and earn it. So you got to just balance that off a little bit.
Is there an update on Dante Jackson? I don't think I saw him in practice yesterday.
Yeah, no, he was not in practice yesterday, and will probably not play this game.
He's looked to be in good shape for week one.
I think so, but I'm anticipating so. Yes.
With that said, how has CJ Henderson done this entire summer?
Man, he's been great. I shouldn't say that, you get a little excited, but he's been Mr. Consistency. He's been consistent, been good. He's really excited about what he's put on tape.
How hard is it entering this week, especially with the excitement, towards certain players? It seems like you guys are in lockstep heading into this roster evaluation process, and you want to collaborate, but how do you also pull yourself back and say, hey, this is what this guy has done all summer?
Yeah, I mean, that's the balance of it. So, and we do, as you said, Mike, we sit down and we talk through, and we'll have a long personnel meeting, talking through every guy, the body of work. Here's the body of work. Here's what happened in the preseason games. How are we putting that together? What's the fit? How does it fit on special teams? As you guys know, that's all important.
And is there a position, Dan said he's getting everything together for when cuts are made to upgrade this roster, but are there positions you still feel like need significant or any kind of upgrade that you're looking at right now?
No, I don't. I mean, listen, my job is to coach the guys that are there. I mean, if somebody comes available, if Scott says, hey, this guy or this guy has come available, let's talk about it. We owe it to the team to evaluate every one of those situations. So, but right now we're locked in on the guys we have and feel good about them.
Is Dante's injury an ankle or?
Yeah.
Is it on the same foot that he had his Achilles surgery on?
It is not on the same foot.
What, what strikes you about the running backs unit now that you're pretty much ready? Or final preseason's upon us.
Yeah, I think those guys have stepped up to the challenge. We've made it competitive. I think they've stepped up to the challenge and done a good job in the limited game reps that they've had. But what they've put on tape in practice has been good. How we've progressed in protections. With those guys, we feel good about the group.
Frank, did you know much about Wynn prior to 3 weeks ago?
Just no, and been really impressed with him, his physicality, his kind of football smarts, and obviously his versatility to play special teams. Obviously Tabor coached him in Chicago, so had a little bit of knowledge talking to Tabes about him. But and I've coached, and I don't want to make comparisons, but in my mind, there's other guys who have played a role that he's competing for a role that I can picture in my that we can picture in our mind. There's a role for a guy like that, so that's still out in front of us though.
Any former specific players you could mention?
I know I started to say that, but yeah, I don't care. Bruce will get mad at me for making comparisons, but like he's pretty physical. So in Indy with Zach Pascal, and he kind of came in and played special teams, and then he just was so physical as a wide receiver. You had to get him on the field because we were going to run the ball, and then next thing you know, he's catching passes and he's developing there. So there's a role for that on this team. Somebody who will play special teams, who will be physical in the run game. And if you do that, we have to throw you the ball because we just can't bring you in to block or everybody will know that. So, and that's kind of how it plays out.
Zach was a guy who did make the Colts because of how tough he was and all that stuff. Is there a guy, not just a wide receiver, but is there a guy who has kind of changed your perception maybe that you had coming in or when camp started that's kind of stood out in that way from a physicality, toughness standpoint?
There's probably several guys, because you really don't know until you get the pads on. I really don't want to start naming names, but I think there are several guys there that I wouldn't say surprised me, but you're excited about. You're like, okay, let's see what they do when you get the pads on. Okay, we put the pads on, and it was good. So I think that's good for our team.
I asked you about Icky the other day, and you said you had no concerns. When you went back and evaluated last year, what did you see early in the season when they were doing a lot of spread offenses? Not exactly what you're doing, but similar.
I'm sorry, Dave. That was my fault.
Pass protection.
Oh, yeah.
Back when they had a spread offense early last year, what did you see there in your evaluation before you really dug into this roster?
I think Icky can handle it all. I really do. I think he's a complete player. I think he is on a trajectory. Listen, there's nothing proven yet. We all know he had a really good year last year, right? We all know that. And, and you just would think he's going to continue to progress. And we believe he has and is progressing. But we just want we want to see that show up on tape, when we get to Sundays.
We'll do a couple more.
Brian, could you tell kind of an immediate difference yesterday with Miles back on the field, just what he brings to that offense?
We do feel like Miles is has the opportunity and potential to be one of our playmakers. He's explosive. He's dual threat. He's got high ends. He's got vertical. He's got long speed. He's got burst. He's got quickness. He's got good vision. So, that's why we went out and got him, thanks to Scott and Mr. Tepper. He was a guy we identified could, be one of our, not not just one, but one of our playmakers in our offense.
Will he play on Friday?
It's TBD. TBD.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay, thank you.